Well, we've talked about some NFL teams with crowded quarterback rooms, and then there's what's taken place in Cleveland. Did get a little less crowded Sunday. Released Snoop Huntley. GM Andrew Berry said on Saturday that the team plans to keep 4 quarterbacks on their 53-man roster. So with Deshaun Watson still on the mend, here's what it looks like right now with the Browns. Joe Flacco, the Week 1 starter, named on Monday. Then 3 backups, including rookies Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders. And then the other vet that's on the team, Kenny Pickett. Let's bring in NFL analyst Ryan Wilson into the fold. So with what we're learning and everything that's happened in the preseason with Cleveland right now, Ryan, what do you think about the Brown situation?
Yeah, it makes sense. And you talked about GM Andrew Berry and what he said previously, and he made that abundantly clear yesterday during the telecast that they're okay keeping 4 quarterbacks, 2 of which are developmental, and he and Stefanski have talked about that since going back to early May when they drafted Dylan Gabriel in round 3 and Shedeur Sanders in round 5. That there was no expectation that either one of them would play right away. That's why you go out and get Kenny Pickett and subsequently bring in Joe Flacco. And I think they're not giving up on Shedeur Sanders after one bad outing yesterday. And the reality is that that was a pretty poor performance. There's no sugarcoating that. But also they knew coming in that this was going to be a developmental situation. A lot of the flaws that we saw from Shedeur at Colorado, Tommy, playing behind a bad offensive line where he would leave clean pockets, that was on full display yesterday. And it just reinforced what a lot of folks around the league knew, is that he wasn't ready to start. That doesn't mean he's a terrible football player or he'll never get a chance to start. It's just not his time now. And I think the pecking order that Stefanski's talked about going back to late July, in that he is QB4 and Dylan Gabriel is QB3, that's going to stay the same unless something changes, because now you're rolling into the season with Joe Flacco, and then Kenny Pickett, once he's healthy, looks to be QB2. The question then becomes who's going to be active on game day rosters, but we can talk about that 10 days from now.
No doubt. And what I think, Ryan, complicates some of these things is that, like, different points in the preseason, these guys have all been hurt, which is tough to then decide from a talent evaluator perspective of, like, who's going to be the guy. I mean, Snoop Huntley was basically brought in as a body to make sure that they had enough bodies for their Week 2 preseason game. All that's to say, we know Joe Flacco Week 1. What are the chances he gets more extended time for this Cleveland team, you think?
I just think because of the way the NFL is, Tommy, that history tells us that injuries are going to pop up, and it doesn't have to be something severe. Last year, 59 different quarterbacks started NFL games. There are 32 NFL teams, of course. So, and that's the lowest number in the last 4 years. So it could be north of that this year. So just the math says that at some point there's going to be someone else starting quarterback, whether it's because of poor performance or injury. I think we're going to see a Kenny Pickett who struggled with injuries as well. You talked about that with the hamstring injury for much of training camp and preseason. And then we'll get an opportunity to see some of these rookies. I would not be surprised, Tommy, if by late December, early January, all 4 of these guys have played and maybe even started. And I think if nothing else, and if the Browns happen to struggle this year, they'll have an idea what their quarterback situation looks like going into the spring, because guess what? They had 2 first-round picks after trading down with the Jacksonville Jaguars and that Travis Hunter deal. So they'll be interested about the quarterback situations from now up until the 2026 draft in late April. And I think we're going to see all 4 of these guys get an opportunity to play, just because that's what history has, that's the picture history has painted in recent years when you have all these quarterbacks on your roster.
Well, there's a couple things also going against Cleveland. They have tied for the worst or longest odds to win the Super Bowl with the Saints, and then they're also in a very tough division that sends 2 or 3 teams to the playoffs each year. So then, in your eyes, Ryan, what's a realistic expectation result here for the Cleveland Browns in 2025?
I think we forget how good Kevin Stefanski was prior to last year, and Andrew Berry, how good these teams were with a lot of upheaval going along. They won more games than they lost than last year happened. I think the issue, Tommy, and you know this, if you don't have a quarterback, it's hard to win football games. The defense is going to be really good. Will Jerry Jeudy get any help? Will Deontay Johnson be a guy who can help them? What will David Njoku look like? What will Harold Fannin, the rookie tight end, look like who they got in day 2? And then the running game, will that be what Kevin Stefanski likes it to be? Because a lot of what he does is lean on the run game and let the pass game build off of that. So all that to say, if they find their way to 9 wins, Andrew Berry and Stefanski should immediately be put in the Hall of Fame. I just think this is a tough schedule. You talk about the tough division with all the other quarterbacks in that division. It feels more like, 5.5, 6 feels like the over-under. I don't know where Vegas currently sits, but that actually feels a little bit optimistic with all the stuff we've talked about over the last 4 or 5 weeks.
You were spot on with that schedule. We flashed it up. The first 6 games are ultra tough. Ryan, certainly appreciated again. Cleveland coming into a season. They paid
Sam Acho. He joins us now. And Sacho, we are now 11 days from the start of the NFL regular season. So give us Acho's 4 downs, the 4 biggest questions you got leading into week 1.
Yeah, first down is the question of how long can the 40-year-old Joe Flacco fend off these incumbent rookies? There's a few rookies in Kenny Pickett, if he gets healthy, that will be available. Will the 40-year-old veteran, the 20 years the NFL veteran, be able to hold off these rookies? My fear is that if the pocket starts to collapse, if the pressure is in the pocket and Joe Flacco is able to get sacked a few times, the Browns may make a change at quarterback. That's first down. Now, second down, my question is about Bo Nix and his sophomore slump. Now, if you ask Sean Payton, he says that sophomore slumps do not exist. It's really on everyone else around the quarterback. That means that Evan Ingram, who's a new addition, and Courtland Sutton will have to be huge, along with the offensive line. I think this Denver Broncos team is ascending. Talk about their offense, but the defense as well. They led the NFL in sacks last year. It seems as if they'll do it again based off the production. Third down, pass rush specialist Trey Hendrickson. Will Trey be traded? We've seen the Cincinnati Bengals struggle early in the season the last several years. Last year, they did not make the playoffs. The defense was one of the worst in the NFL. Trey Hendrickson is in a holdout right now. Will he be traded? Will he sign back? What will he do, and what will that impact the defense, especially early in the season, with the offense being as dominant as they have been the last few years? And last but not least, fourth down, another pass rusher, Micah Parsons. Where will he end up? There's this contract situation, a saga between Micah Parsons and David Mulugeta, his agent, and Jerry Jones. It does not look like it's going to end amicably. Will Micah Parsons make a change? Will Jerry Jones come to terms? I cannot wait to watch how this ends up, not just over the next 11 days, but maybe even over the next few months.
You don't really believe Micah Parsons will be with another team week 1, do you?
I actually do. I don't know. I don't think he's going to suit up week 1. I don't know if he'll be traded by week 1, but I don't see him suiting up. I don't see Micah Parsons and David Mulugeta succumbing to the demands of Jerry Jones. Now, maybe Jerry Jones will have a change of heart. That's what I'm excited to see.
I was about to say, Sam, you are out your mind. Micah Parsons will be right there week 1 against Philadelphia, and the this standoff will end.
Watch your mind. That's a new segment.
All right, that's our Sam.
Watch on the app as we are 2 weeks from opening day for 26 teams. Here's some headlines around the NFL. Micah Parsons making the call me gesture before the Cowboys preseason game Friday against the Falcons, and Coach Brian Schottenheimer is taking up that offer to chat with him, saying he's going to meet with Parsons today after the hold-in was seen lying down on a training table during a portion of the game, which did not go over well. Buccaneers rookie safety Shiloh Sanders, son of Hall of Famer Deion Sanders, was